I'm going to go through the insert or organizer that is compatible with Catan to show you how it all stores, what features it has, and why you might be interested in using something like this. So first off, this insert or organizer can be stored vertically, horizontally, whichever way you want to, and everything still should stay intact inside of the game box. If we take a look inside, then this kind of shows you how things fit. These are some random cards that are blank. Have those just set aside there. If you take all these pieces out, we'll go through one by one of what everything is. So starting off, we have the organizer that holds the tiles for the game. Tiles like the ore and wood, all of those that you'd play with to get your resources. We have art on the top to kind of immerse you more in the theme of the game. And this side right here fits all the tiles that are designed for just the base game and not the 5 to 6 player expansion. Those will be stored separately over here, and we'll take a look at those in just a second. But inside of this, another feature, if you'd like, just in case you wanted to try to get more room into here, we designed this piece right here to be at an angle, so that way your pieces are less likely to just slide out if it's set flat. But if you want to take this out, it will give you a little bit more room inside of the box. There are a couple expansions that are kind of promo, like there's a Santa expansion and things like that that you can get for Catan. So if you wanted to try to fit those, we just wanted to make sure that you had the option of everything staying flat, which can be nice. Again to hold everything in place so that when it sits sideways, it's not likely to fall out. But if you do need more space, that's why that's there. So this holds the tiles for the base game. The next one, let's take a look at the one that holds the tiles for the 5 to 6 player expansion. So in the top, we have some of the tokens. We have the thing that holds the 5 to 6 player expansion tokens. So that's all in here. And then I just have these blank cards set aside. You could put them with the cards that you have, or if you're just not going to use them, you could get rid of them. But just to show you, I have those here. And then inside of here, we've got the same situation where you have an angled piece. It can come in and out depending on if you want to use it. And then these are all the tiles that go with the 5 to 6 player expansion if you're using that. Next, we'll kind of just pull everything out, and then we'll go through each thing. So this would be a score tracker that goes with the game, or that you can use as an accessory for the game. We have card holders that can be used, and they are compatible with sleeved cards. We'll talk about those in a minute. We have 6 player dashboards, just in case you have the expansion. And then underneath, or one last thing, we have the Chits Box. We'll talk about this separately. And then down at the bottom, we have all of your bordering shorelines for the game. And these all come in a dice tray that if you'd like, you can take out, and you can use this as a dice tray for the game. If you want, you can leave it in the box if you choose not to use it, but just a fun accessory for while you're playing. We'll talk about that more later. So we'll set that aside, outside of the box. And this is a piece that you will pretty much never take out of the box, but it has pieces you might need. We have set in there the longest road, largest army, and underneath that, if you have the 5 to 6 player expansion, we have some of the tiles that help to expand the shoreline, just set underneath. And then there are these little cutouts here that make it really easy to just stick your finger underneath and be able to grab that. And lastly, we've got the robber and the dice that have slots set aside for them. I'm going to set this aside so that we can take a look at each one of these parts individually. Let's start by taking a look at the score tracker that we designed for the game. We have a fun little quote here, kind of Shakespearean, to go with the medieval or fiefdom theme of the game. And this score tracker is optional. It doesn't have to be used. But inside of here, it couples as some storage for the cards, which we'll explain later. But this just slides right inside of here to hold that. and this piece right here holds that in place. But if you take this off and pull these out, we'll set these aside later to talk about with the cards. They just represent the different resources of the game. Then with this, now that you have this out, we have this designed so that the back has a slot right here that this can be placed into, this piece right here. And if you place that there, then this can be set down to make it at just slightly more of an angle so that when you're playing, you can see it from across the board. Also, if you leave this piece in the back here, then you can also take the box that holds the chits for the game or the number tokens, set that up like that. Then you can take this and actually just lean it on that right there. And then now you could use this up at the top of the game, out of the way, so that everybody can see it. The actual score tracker itself, we'll talk about. So it starts at a 2 because that's the minimum score that you would have in the game because you start with 2 settlements. It goes up to 10, which is how you would finish if you're just playing the normal game of Catan. And then it also goes up to 14 if you're playing the Seafarers, some of the Seafarer expansion scenarios. So either way that you're playing, it has compatibility for both. And then all that you would do is take one of the roads from one of your character that you're playing with, and then you could just slot it in. Now, if you did run out of roads, if you were able to build that many roads in the game, then you wouldn't be able to use this, but there's usually an extra road in the game, and this just allows you to track. If we were playing with the blue and the white, then we could be tracking our scores as we move along. So that's the score tracker, which again inside slots the cards, or these displays for the different resources of the game slides in there. Next we'll talk about the card holders. The card holders have a couple of fun features to make it easier to play the game. You have all your resources fit in here. We have the compatibility if you do decide to sleeve your cards for the game, then the cards can be sleeved and still fit in these dividers. So if it's sleeved or unsleeved, it will fit, and this has all the cards for the core game and also the 5 to 6 player expansion. So a couple ways that you can play with these. So if you take these off, this will allow you to be able to pull the cards out easily, and yet when they're stored, as these are in, it'll keep them from sliding around or falling out. So we'll set these aside. And then now we have the option, a couple different ways of actually displaying the cards. So the first way is there are grooves in the tops and then grooves also in the bottoms, right in here, that make it so that this is compatible to slot with the one beneath it. And this also actually, when you're putting it away, the same slots are here, so you can place that score tracker on the top and it actually will hold in place, making it easier for things not to slide around when they're being stored in the box. But when you're playing, we designed it so that you have 2 different places where the slotting can happen. So one is just for putting it away, so that again it just holds and stays in place when it's stored away, but you can also pick it up and slide it back and store it here. And now if you wanted to, you could have take up less table space and be able to have it so where you can still see the card resources enough that you could pull out whatever you need and store it this way. Then another way of doing it, if you have a little bit more table space, is you can put it out like this, and then we can take our displays and actually slot them in the top of each section, allowing you to see easily from across the table the resources as you're trying to grab them. Now this does look backwards, and that's because I'll show you the third way that you can display these on the table. You would flip-flop these resources, and I'll show you why. So if we set this down and turn this around now, and take the kind of door that we had to hold everything in place, we can now slot this in the back here, just like this. And then now we can set the cards upright like that. And they have a designed little slot there. So now we can display it at an angle on the table versus having it be flat. Again, just making it easier to see across the table if you want to, and then you're pulling the cards out kind of from the top instead of sliding them towards you. So this is the third way that it can be used with the card divider. Whichever way works best for you, you can set this up, and you can see the wood and the brick and the development cards that you can get for the game are now lined up how they should be. Or if you decide to do it in this configuration, you can see that these are lined up as well. Whichever way you want to use it from these three situations, we had a couple options depending on how you like to play with it. You can try out all three and see which one works best for you. Next, let's talk about the player dashboards for the game. This is one of my favorite things that we added to this insert to make it easier to just be ready to play with whatever color you pick to play with in the game. So just as an example, we have orange here. So you can see we have the building cost breakdown of what you have to spend for everything is actually kind of the lid to each character's dashboard. So we can actually just slide this off just like that and pull it out, and then now we have our key to seeing what we have to spend to be able to get things. But we also designed it so that you can take this and actually just slot it up at the top right here, and then now you take up again less space. You can see what everything is going to cost you, and you can get to all of your pieces really easily. And then if we take a look closer at this, we've got with the cities or the settlements and the roads, we have a slot for each one that everything can fit quite nicely. Now with the roads, some confusion that people have had sometimes is they think that the roads should actually fit all the way in, but they are purposely designed to be at an angle, and that makes it so that you can grab them out very easily. If it wasn't that way, then they would actually set inside of the foam that divides them, and then you wouldn't be able to get them out. So they are designed to be at an angle, making it very easy to grab them out. And then the city and the settlements actually set above and have a little ridge above, making it easy to grab them in and out. And one thing we have seen too is that people, there are two different designs or sizes, cuts for the city meeples. And we'll show you kind of the difference here. So in our core box that we got and the 5 to 6 player expansion with the green and the brown, if you take a look, these city pieces are actually a different size than this city piece. It doesn't seem like much, but this size of this part that cuts out here of this L is actually not the same size as this. It's shorter. And there are, I believe, 3 different variations. So some are this medium, some is taller, and then there's one that's a little bit thinner than that. So depending on which version you've got or which area you're from or how old your one is, there seems to be a couple of different sizes. Now, it should still work. If you squish it in, the foam will eventually just make it fit. If you have the biggest one, if you have the smallest one, it should fit too. Some people have had some issue with that. We do have a different cut size depending on which one you have. So if you have issues or you're curious before you wanted to get the insert, then you could take a picture of which one you have, and then we could send you the foam that would work for yours specifically. But either way, you can see I didn't have 2 different versions of the foam in this one, and yet they both fit. This one is a little more snug than this one is, but they both fit just fine after you squish it in. So just wanted to point that out to help eliminate some of the confusion that there's been around that. And again, just know we'd be happy to send a replacement or whatever we need to do to make it so that it works best for your version of the Catan that you have. So there's the player dashboards. There are 6 of them. And then one other thing that's kind of fun about these, if you wanted to do it, is you can actually add some custom text below. So if you, as a family, play Catan all the time and it's one of your favorite games, or if you're giving this as a gift, then you have the option to add a name on here and maybe a quote. If somebody is always going for a certain resource or has a certain habit, you can always just throw in a joke at the bottom. Right here we have the example of Lady Jane, builder of roads. You could put whatever you would like in this area custom to you, and that's another option that comes with this. And we'll talk about some customization with the dice tray too, but just a fun addition if you play Catan all the time with your family. And you could always just throw on the bottom too, guest. So if you have the 6-player version, but you usually play 4, and sometimes you have people that come and play who aren't a part of the family or whatever, you could put guest on there. Or, you know, you could just do one thing that says the winner, you know, the last time they played, they get the one that designates that they're the winner, and you could pass that around on whoever it is that won the last time that you played. So those are the player dashboards. Set those aside. Now let's show you the dice tray. So again, we had the shoreline of the game fits into here and is flush with this front part of the dice tray. So we'll take that and set that aside and show you this part. So if we get the dice and you had enough table space, then you could be setting this up at the top of the game. If we had the island here that everybody's playing on, then you can easily see if you roll into here. Everyone should be able to see whatever it is, whatever numbers you rolled, you can play. And it comes with a fun pun and some art already on the foam here on the bottom of the tray, which again, it is foam, and so when you rolled it, instead of it being loud, it does help to dull the sound of your rolls and makes it quiet, which can be nice if you're playing at night and maybe you have kids that are sleeping or something and you're trying to be more quiet. So this is optional, you don't have to use it. When we were designing this, we were trying to make something for fitting these, and then realized that instead of just making a little box or something that fits it, what if we made a dice tray, just adding multiple things, kind of our thought with the score tracker, just again holding these. Why not make it so that instead of just a box that holds things, it's a box that serves multiple functions. So the score tracker, just a fun addition. The dashboard's just a fun way of making things really easy for setup and takedown, making play be more compact if you need it to be, not having to put things in and out of the baggies, having it just ready to go. You know, taking this out, putting it right on the board, dice trays there, score tracker if you want it. Everything can just be put on the board. Cards, again, don't have to be bagged. They're just ready to go immediately. You know, pull the door off and then the cards are ready to be played with. So all of the design was to try to make it look nice and be functional. So those two things combined, and then making it so storage is very easy. So that's what we tried to accomplish with this. So again, and another thing I wanted to mention is that, let's say if you did the customization where you had your family names, here you can also, in the same add-on, we could put a family name here if you wanted to, or some joke that you wanted to do, or something more serious. There's the ability to do some customization with this if you get that add-on. So sometimes people will put their family's last name right here, and then you have all the kids and the parents' names here. Just a fun custom version of Catan, makes for a great gift too. So that's the dice tray, and then the last thing, which isn't as exciting but still necessary, is a holder for the number tokens, or also called chits in the game. So these just store in here, and there are two separations. So if you wanted to store the 5 to 6 player ones versus the core box ones. And then again, to make it so nothing is just serving one purpose, we also put on here the steps that you would go through to put everything away. So there's pictures guiding you through, how to set things in. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that guides you through how you would put it all back away, making it very easy. You don't need to remember, and so there's less confusion if you maybe play every once in a while. It's been a long time since you've taken it in and out, and then you played it for an hour, and then now you can't quite remember how to put it all away. This should make it very easy to do that. So let's show you one last time how everything gets put away. Okay, so we'll pull our box over here to put everything away. So again, this doesn't ever need to be taken out. It can be, but there's no need to. So we'll put the dice back in here. Again, robber goes right here in a slot that's designed for it. And then here we would put these back away in their slots with the extenders for the shoreline going in here. Then next, we're gonna take the dice tray and put that on the bottom. So if we were to follow along here, now we can see that we've done this picture right there. So next step's gonna be to put the shoreline and these tiles. So the first picture shows it without these being here. Second picture shows you that you can put these tiles into here. And then let's move on to the third one. So the third one shows us that we have the card holders and the dashboards are starting to go here. So let's do that. So again, with your card holders, we have these slots here that allow this to lock together so that it holds. And then the score tracker has the same option here. And there is a little bit of a gap right here from the side that the dice tray creates. So this notch here is designed to go towards that gap. So you're gonna place this so that that goes towards the gap. And if you have the cards facing with the door facing this way, then it'll be right every time. So these are gonna go fitting just perfectly with the, those will fit in just perfectly with the robber being just at the top of this as this slots in. But we skipped a part of the picture. If you see here, we need to do the shoreline. So let's put the shoreline in here. We're just gonna offset these backwards of each other. So that fits. Now we're gonna place this inside. That should fit just right here. If we have this notch on this side, one, that it's not gonna fit as well into these notches, and then also as we try to slide this back in, that's gonna be in the way. So we want this to fit in this way. Next, we're gonna do the, and then the score tracker too. We've gotta take that off, slide these in, just like that. Then we're gonna take our player dashboards. We're gonna set these just above the longest road and the largest army. Just like that. And there's a little lip in here that it sets on, so you need to make sure that it's on that lip or it won't fit. But that helps to keep it level while it's in the box. So there and there. And we can put the rest of them in. These right here are designed to make it so that it should be pretty easy, especially too if you need to get them out. There's a little bit of a gap that this creates that holds it in place. It makes it really easy to slide it in and out. Okay, and then going through again, looking at the picture, we have all the dashboards in. Now we just need to put the tile holders. So here we have the 5 to 6 player expansion with the kind of drawer on top. That's just gonna go in just like that. And then the tiles for the core box is gonna go in this side, just like that. And then now we've followed all the instructions for how this goes. Lastly, this is gonna go on top of the dice and the robber, holding it in place. And then we can put the rule book on top of that. Lastly, the lid. And everything fits really nicely. Again, being able to fit sideways. stored upright. Nothing should move around. Should all stay together. And that is how the insert works for Catan and some of the features that it has. We hope you liked watching this, and that if you already own this, it kind of shows you how to use the thing that you already have. And maybe if you saw this and you're interested, there should be a link in the description to this item, and you can purchase it if you'd like. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. If you like the video, give a like, share it with a friend if you think somebody would be interested in something like that. There are more inserts coming out for other games too, so if you subscribe, you can see those. And also some more inserts coming out for games that are compatible with, or inserts that are compatible with the other Catan expansions. So subscribe to be notified and be able to see how those work and see if that's something that interests you too. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.